now?
Yeah.
Louder! Okay, we all know that the First Amendment enshrines the protection of freedom of the press. But do we know where this idea came from? The idea that was so important to the Founding Fathers that they made it #1 in their list of protections from the government. A young German-born printer named John Peter Zenger found himself the focus of the American colony's attention in 1735 when he printed an account of the governor of New York's corruption, how surprising, that landed him in jail. Newly appointed Governor William Cosby was a greedy, power-hungry man. Upon arriving in New York to serve as governor, he decided to demand that the man serving as acting governor of New York in the year between Cosby's appointment and arrival turn over half the salary he earned. The previous governor refused, and Cosby filed suit. Cosby knew he would lose the case if he was tried by a jury, so he designated the Supreme Court without a jury to hear his case. One of the 3 judges voted against him. Cosby wrote a letter demanding the dissenting judge explain why. Chief Justice Lewis Morris responded, but not in a private letter. Instead, he had John Peter Zenger printed in a pamphlet. Governor Cosby went ballistic, removed Morris as Chief Justice, and replaced him with a staunch loyalist. This resulted in Chief Justice Morris, along with the previous governor and several prominent citizens, forming a new opposition party that came to be known as the Popular Party. In order to curb the growing opposition to himself, Governor Cosby decided he needed to control the only newspaper in New York, the New York Gazette. He named a flatterer-in-chief to become censor and editor of the paper. The man who led the opposition to the governor encouraged John Peter Zenger to start his own paper for the sole purpose of exposing Cosby's corruption. The New York Weekly Journal published its 2nd issue with an article extolling freedom of the press. The loss of liberty in general would soon follow the suppression of the liberty of the press. No nation has ever lost the liberty of freely speaking, writing, or publishing their sentiments, but lost their liberty in general and became slaves. Governor Cosby put up with the Journal's attacks for 2 months before deciding it must be shut down. He decided to sue John Peter Zenger for seditious libel. Zenger was arrested and spent 8 months in jail, but he was able to keep his paper running, though, by dictating to his wife and servants through a hole in his cell door. As his plight was now read throughout the colonies, more people supported him and his God-given right to speak freely. So important had the case become in the colonies that a well-known lawyer from Philadelphia, a friend of Benjamin Franklin and William Penn, offered his services to defend Zenger. Andrew Hamilton was considered the best attorney in the colonies. He argued against the strict libel laws of England, saying that the people of America cannot be governed as those in England.
That's right.
We're a free people.
Yeah.
His final argument stated that if what is said can be proved true, it is not libel, but exposing corruption. His closing arguments gave our Founding Fathers the idea of freedom of the press. The question before the court and you, gentlemen of the jury, will affect every free man that lives under a government of America. It is the best cause. It is the cause of liberty. Every man who prefers freedom to a life of slavery will bless and honor you as men who have baffled the attempt of tyranny, and by an uncorrupt verdict have laid a foundation for securing to ourselves, our posterity, and our neighbors a right to liberty of both exposing and opposing arbitrary power by speaking and writing truth. The jury came back with not guilty. The Zenger trial established freedom of the press in America. I know, thank God. A half-century after the Zenger trial, as the first Congress debated the Bill of Rights, one of the Constitution's principal drafters, Gouverneur Morris, who happens to be the great-grandson of Lewis Morris, the Chief Justice fired by Governor Cosby, wrote of the Zenger case. The trial of Zenger in 1735 was the germ of American freedom, the morning star of that liberty which subsequently revolutionized America. The founders understood that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. They wanted to enshrine freedom of the press in the Constitution so that the press would act as a watchdog of the government.
Watchdog.
Say that again.
Watchdog. Watchdog.
I am here today to lend my voice in telling the mainstream media that they have failed. They have failed. Instead. Now here's the good news. Their newspapers will continue to fail. And Fox News viewership will continue to grow. The longer they act as a mouthpiece for liberalism.
That's right.
Today could be the beginning of a great farewell to the farewell party for the liberal media and a glorious resurgence of a press that fulfills its role as watchdog thanks to the internet. We can all agree with Thomas Jefferson when he said, advertisements contain the only truth in a newspaper.